Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining this call. Structure of the con call shall include a brief opening statement by the MD and CEO, and then the floor will be open for interaction. Before getting into the con call, I'll read out the usual disclaimer statement. I would like to submit that certain statements that may be discussed during the investor interaction may be forward-looking statements based on the current expectations. These statements involve a number of risks, uncertainties, and other factors that cause the actual results to differ from the statement. Investors are therefore requested to check the information independently before making any investment or other decisions. You are also aware that Andhra Bank and Corporation Bank were amalgamated into Union Bank of India with effect from 1st April 2020. Accordingly, financials have been disclosed to stock exchanges which are not strictly comparable. However, to facilitate our investor community to have like-to-like comparison, the presentation is based on aggregating the audited or reviewed numbers of three banks for June 19 and March 20 and do not entail any adjustments. With this, I now request our MD and CEO for his opening remarks. Thank you. Over to you.
Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure and privilege to welcome you all to this con call to discuss financial results for the quarter ended June 2020. The business environment globally is shadowed with unprecedented health pandemic. Many businesses are shut and supply chains remain disrupted. However, we are also witnessing extraordinary coordination between governments and central banks to ensure orderliness in markets and economy. Our government also announced timely intervention through multi-sectoral support under Atmanirbhar program. These measures, while responding to immediate needs of businesses hit by COVID, are also forward-looking for creating long-term enablers in agriculture, infrastructure and social sectors. As situation normalizes, measures initiated under Atmanirbhar shall have huge positive impact on financial sector. At the same time, RBI's liquidity injection, moratorium and other measures ensured financial stability in the system. The restructuring scheme announced by it is prudent for supporting individuals and businesses impacted by COVID. For us at Union Bank of India, we have been celebrating the coming together of three great institutions. As you are aware, Andhra Bank and Corporation Bank were amalgamated into Union Bank of India with effect from 1st April 2020. We now operate through 9,500 plus branches serving over 120 million customers. Our strategy is to leverage this amalgamation for cost efficiency and revenue synergy, while focusing on digital journey across our functional streams. I am sure you are also looking forward to have more color on amalgamated entity. That is why in our presentation shared with you, numbers are accordingly represented. However, please note that combined financials have been arrived at by aggregating the audited or reviewed numbers of Andhra Bank and Corporation Bank with Union Bank of India and do not entail any adjustments. Let me now share the highlights of performance for the quarter ended June 2020. We spoke about harmonization last quarter. To repeat, all the three entities harmonized loan loss provisions during the quarter ended March 2020, and it amounted to rupees 3,650 crores. There was additional provision of rupees 324 crores on this account during the quarter ended June 2020. Similarly, harmonization of employee benefits led to provision of rupees 2,118 crores for the quarter ended March 2020. This is already reflected in the opening balance sheet as of 1st April 2020. Further, during the quarter, due to change in depreciation methodology from written down value method to straight line depreciation method and change in estimated usefulness life of certain category of assets led to additional provisioning of 177 crores. During the quarter of June, there has also been one-time impact of about rupees 400 crores on P&L due to provision for employee expenses pending wage revision to align with the likely bipartite settlement. We have also made a provision higher than regulatory requirement in account of one housing finance company as a prudent measure. This amounted to about rupees 400 crores. This set of information, I believe, would help you assess our performance better. Operating profit for the quarter ended June 2020 increased by 2.9% to 4,034 crores compared to 3,918 crores in the corresponding quarter of previous year, This increase was supported by growth in net interest income by 17.11%, which stood at 6,403 crores. NIM is maintained at the same level when compared to YOY basis. It is also in line with our guidance given for the year. Operating expenses remain contained, showing growth of 11.18%. Provisions aggregated to rupees 3,701 crores. This included provision on account of COVID of 339 crores, and net profit of the bank stood at 333 crores. Coming to business, deposits registered annual growth rate of 7.25%. CASA share stood at 33.30%. There is subdued growth in advances. Gross NPA remained stable, while net NPA ratio reduced further to 4.97%. Provision cover ratio improved to 79.87%. Business would take time to revive, but we are encouraged by the pace of gain in the economic activities in select sectors and geographies. It is, though not yet a solid trend. We are utilizing this time to introduce strategic shifts to our organization. Digital is at the core of our organization design and business approach. Soon we will embark on next level of digital journey for our customers by offering choice of digital channels for sourcing of leads, end-to-end digital lending, and leveraging analytics for cross-sell and upsell. We are looking at having a good share of business and revenue through digital banking. The times are so unprecedented that short-term visibility is masked with the health pandemic, while there is high hope in medium and long term. Therefore, any guidance for the quarter or so is fraught with greater degree of uncertainty. We will continue to connect with you from time to time and share the development. That is what I wanted to share with you in brief. And now we are open to interaction and your feedback. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask questions may press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking questions. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. To ask questions, please press star and 1. The first question is from the line of Mahrukh Adajania from Elara Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hi, sir. Hi. So, I just had a couple of questions. Firstly, on this restructuring scheme, so I know it's early days, but what do you think should be or would be the quantum of restructuring that you would see for the bank? And any guidance that you could give on slippages?
Yeah, we have some estimates, but then you can't hold me for these numbers because the things
definitely not, sir. Yeah.
Quarter-wise. So at this point of time, the fair estimates what we are trying to do, the restructuring can be anything between 5 to 6% of the book. Okay. Since we had some estimates on the slippages, the delinquency, so now the delinquency will come down with restructuring. So our revised estimates of delinquency is around 3 to 3.5%. Restructuring book can be anything between 5 to 6%. This is our estimates looking at the present situation after looking at like talking to a lot of customers and the mid-size and all that. This is the estimates we have at this point of time. But then this will definitely change as we go along.
Got it, sir. Sir, and so what sectors in corporate would see restructuring? Because a lot of heavy, large ticket size corporates have already been restructured, or NPAs or IBC. So what kind of corporates will now be restructured? Retail is fine because it could be all across.
Actually, our assessment of large exposure, when I say large, above 1,000, so we do not see any big account coming for restructuring. There will be very few even if it comes. So below that only we find that there are cases which will come for restructuring. So now there will be cases like broadly if you look at sectors, like you from the real estate we will see some restructuring. Real estate, when I say it will be both on residential, where our book is quite small, but then we'll have some LRDs like lease rental discounting, where it is for the malls and that kind of things, we'll see some restructuring. Then we will also see some restructuring on the textile side, because a lot of order cancellations and all that has happened. We may see some in the gold jewelry side, like the accounts, good accounts, where there are order cancellations and the delay in collections and all that. So like that, so there will be various sectors where this restructuring will come in. So because like we are thinking that the thermal large projects will not come under restructuring because of the government facilitation, particularly through DISCOMs, where they are paying them in time. And we are also not seeing much on the EPC side. So because there also the government is providing enough liquidity. Some of the toll roads which are under BOT were affected by this toll collection and all that, they may also come under restructuring. So like these are the various sectors like where the preliminary discussions are taking place. So where we will see some restructuring.
Got it, sir. And in retail, you would see a fair bit on housing side?
Actually, if you we are factoring certain amounts under personal loans. We call it, because RBI put it broadly under personal loan. But in our case, about 60% of the book is housing and mortgage. That means preferably security with the good security loans. So we don't foresee a big portfolio going under this thing. But then when I say restructured book can be 5 to 6%, we are also factoring a good number of personal loans also. But then it can be quite lower than what we estimate.
Okay. So the personal loans would be of that 5 to 6%. Personal loans will be 2% or lower.
Of the total book, actually, assuming that we have a book of 6 lakh crores plus. So on that number I am talking. But when it comes to the personal loan, our book is around 1,28,000 crores retail book. So there also like right now we are factoring about 7-8% there also, but then I think it may be quite lower than that.
So, and my last question was on the MSME scheme. Basically, when the scheme started, everyone thought it's a no-brainer and all banks will lap it up to the maximum amount. And now, not everything has been utilized. It's been opened up to individuals, but a lot of NBFCs are also saying that they may not utilize the whole portion. So I know that a lot of borrowers may not even be eligible, or their businesses may be weak, so there's no point giving more loans to them. But otherwise, for the better businesses, isn't it a no-brainer, because you don't have any risk weight? So even if your rate is lower, your risk-adjusted return can be the same. So why isn't it being used more than what it is now?
Actually, I think banks have really used it. Even we have sanctioned more than 6,000 crores. So all eligible accounts, actually we have tapped all the customers who are eligible and sent them the offer by way of SMS and mails. And so people who wanted it have used it. But there may be a good section of people, either they don't want it because they are comfortable. They don't want to again leverage higher. So that kind of possibilities are also there. But then in our case, 6,000 crores on a MSME book of roughly 1,08,000 crores is not a bad amount.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ashok Ajmera from Ashcon Global Services. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Congratulations for such a good numbers, a good profitability, even the increase in the operating profit in this difficult time. Having said that, I have a couple of questions. Now, this quarter was basically a pressure-less quarter as far as the recoveries are concerned because of the moratorium which are there and various other benefits which are given. Now, you see, those who opted for this moratorium, now they are looked as a second-grade, clients or customers by the bank. Like some of the bank, I have been told for some of the clients that they will not get any top-up even in future also because they have opted for moratorium. So don't you think that the scheme was basically to give benefit to the people to take care of this COVID problem, to build proper cash chest or emergency amount rather than taking it as any kind of a benefit, because ultimately they have to repay it. So what are your views on that? I mean, are you also treating in your bank that those who went for the moratorium or those who went for the 20% special loan, emergency loan or anything, they are a second-grade customer?
Mr. Ajmera, I think we never thought about in this line. Actually, when you said this, we are all having a smile on face. I think like public sector banks and particularly our bank do not have that kind of thing. We understand the difficulty during COVID times. Every borrower has been treated with lot of respect. We went and offered. You can speak to some of our customers. Our people have called 2-3 times. Sir, your loan is sanctioned. You can come and avail any time. So, and I'll assure you that there is no negativity towards for these people because COVID times have been tough for everyone, not only business and personally also. So naturally, if somebody has availed moratorium, somebody is going to avail moratorium, restructuring, there is no negativity towards any of these people.
Great. That's very nice to hear. Sir, what would be the amount of this moratorium given on the working capital interest and the moratorium on the term loan installments? Any breakup, any idea about it? Who have availed, because this is the last month and now from September they have to start paying. So some color on that, some idea on that amount?
If I understood you correctly, the term loan installments which you have taken moratorium need not be paid now in one lump.
Yeah. No, okay. So that amount,
you can, if you are capable of paying, we'll be happy to take it. But otherwise, actually, your repayment period will be elongated and it will not be treated as restructuring. The 6 months installment will be back-ended and it will be recovered later, so it will not be treated as restructuring.
What would be the amount of that?
Huh?
What is the total amount of that, quantum of that?
Actually, what is moratorium availed? See, a moratorium availed in our case is about 28% of the book.
Okay.
So,
of the total
add further color,
6.5 lakh crore book. Total 6.5 crore lakhs book.
No, actually, what we have done now, when we calculated moratorium, we have calculated on the term loans only.
Okay.
Because the working capital, what has happened is basically there is a separate provisions being given by the RBI for reassessment and all that, and for them actually the interest portion they have to pay in the month of September, or they can convert it to FITL, which has to be paid by March 21.
March 21, yes,
so
correct.
For them actually there is no benefit of moratorium as such for working capital. But then the benefit is given by different ways, where they can reduce the margins, where we can increase their drawing power. So a lot of cushions are being given, which we have already extended to the customer. So working capital side, I don't think the restructuring will be there actually. This moratorium, it will not be a big issue.
Sir, even in this fresh restructuring scheme which has come up, whether it will be, even the working capital pressure also will be considered for the restructuring, apart from the term loan elongation or the ballooning or other thing kind of restructuring. Even the working capital, some part of working capital may be converted into WCTL, or period may be elongated for repayment. Something of that kind also will be possible under this?
It is permitted under that, including additional loans if required.
Additional loan also if required.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It is permitted.
Okay, sir. Now coming back to the business, sir, now since we are comparatively better off now, and from September onwards the full activities are expected to start. So for the coming quarters, 2 quarters of this year, what are the targets approximately of the recovery, which was about 751 crore in this quarter, and even the write-off amount is also comparatively very less in this quarter, of 247 crore, upgradation of 751 crore. So in the next 2 quarters, what are the overall situation which you might have made some assessment for?
Yeah. We have done our assessments. Actually, see, last quarter the total recovery, because upgradation also is an NPA reduction actually. So you can say that recovery and upgradation last quarter was around 1,500 crores. And that has come in the most difficult times when there was a lockdown and all that. So this quarter, actually, already we are having a good number. So, but then I will not give a quarter-wise projection. So our total recovery expectation, including NCLT recovery for this year, is about 15,000 crores. Out of that, about 5,000 crores is expected from NCLT. So, 10,000 from other accounts and about 5,000 from NCLT account. This is the estimate. But then we are very confident about our 10,000 crores recovery for the full year. NCLT will definitely depend on so many other developments, because there are large accounts involved in this. So there are a lot of litigations going on. So anything between 10 to 15,000 will be the recovery number, recovery and upgradation number for this year.
Good, sir. Now, sir, coming to this profitability statement, now the total provisions are, I think, 3,555 crore, because we got very less time, to analyze this. And the provision for bad for the advances is 2,451. So about 1,100 crore, if I'm not wrong, is the other provision. Out of that, maybe 150 crore of income tax might have been. So what is the remaining 900 crore provision?
400 crores we have done for the wage revision.
Okay.
And 339 crores we have done for the COVID.
Oh, yes. So that I missed actually. Okay. COVID.
So right now we hold 2 quarters put together 678 crores of provision for this probable COVID moratorium impact. So out of that, 142 crores is extra than what RBI has stipulated. We hold 142 crores more than what is required. So if we put this 400 wage revision and 339, I think maybe, and then the tax.
No, that is okay. I mean, that's good to. I got a proper clarification on that. Now, sir, if you go in the segment-wise income revenue, treasury profit is 2,804 crore. Retail book losses are 800. Sorry, the profit is 819 crore, and the wholesale book losses are 3,301 crore, which means the major provisions has come from the wholesale book. And treasury profit has only taken the major portion out of the entire this thing. How do you, analyze it? What will be going forward will be the trend?
Yeah, actually the provision on the corporate side will be, wholesale book will be always there actually, because even though we have reached almost 80% provisioning level, the PCR stands at 79.8. Practically we can say 80%. Still there will be accounts where this provisioning requirement will come. But then I think maybe I may also have to look deeper and come back on this. Maybe some other time we'll catch up and we'll give you a better analysis on that. So Nitesh has some view on this segment.
Yes, sir. On the segment reporting, because the figures are very, it looks, prima facie as if the entire bank has been taken
give us 2-3 days, because I may have to, because actually for us also the numbers are available from today morning only. So I have not done a deeper analysis. So I will come back to you on this. Maybe next week we'll catch up and clarify on this.
Sure, sir.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for answering my question, sir. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we take the next question, we'd like to inform participants that in order that the management is able to address questions from all participants in the conference, please limit your questions to 2 per participant. Should you have a follow-up question, we request you to rejoin the queue. We take the next question from the line of Ajit Kabi from B&K Securities. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah,
sir.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Basically, that the asset quality, whatever the asset quality concerns, the asset quality has improved this quarter.
Mr. Kabi, I'm really sorry to interrupt you, but we can't hear you very well. There's a lot of background noise where you are.
Hello?
Yeah, please.
Hello?
Yeah.
The asset quality, I have seen that asset quality has improved YOY. Yeah?
Yes.
But QOQ, the asset quality has improved. So the slippages amount is quite high despite asset quality, asset classification even standstill. Okay. So I just want to get the idea that from which book you got the slippages. I mean, what are those?
Yeah, I'll give you that. Actually, see, quarter on quarter also, if you look at gross NPA number, the number is same because the advances came down quarter on quarter, so the percentage has gone up a bit actually. Otherwise, the number is stable and the gross NPA, and then we have not resorted to much write-off this quarter. So gross NPA remains there. So if you look at the breakup of the slippages, we had 463 crores of slippage and micro and small, and then 171 crores from retail, 104 crores from agriculture, and remaining from corporate book.
Okay.
About 1,750 crores was the slippage.
Got it. So you, in the first question somebody asked that whatever you are telling about the restructuring amount of the personal loan, right? Personal loan, you are expecting 6 to 7% of the book will go under restructure, right? You are expecting
6 to 7% of the total book actually can go under restructuring. That is our estimate.
And the loan book
it is not 5 to 6%. It is 5 to 6% of the total book. When it comes to retail, it can be around 7%. Yes.
Oh, so, if it comes to the still personal loan, then unsecured personal loan, I'm saying.
We do not have much of unsecured personal loan. I think I have clarified because most of our loans are mortgage backed. So our personal loans are mostly salary tie-ups.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is from Rahul Nair from SBI Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi, sir. My question was, can you give the breakup of morat customers? 28% of loans were under morat, right?
Yes. You breakup of retail like that?
Retail and corporate, yeah.
Yeah, so retail and MSME is around 35-36% each, and corporate is around 22-25%.
Okay. And do you have any capital raise plans for the quarter?
Yeah, for the quarter, for the year, we have taken approval from the board for 10,300 crores of total capital, which includes a buffer of 100 basis points over the minimum. And within that, the maximum equity raising plan is 6,800 crores. So right now, we are evaluating raising of additional Tier 1 bond from the market. We are in the process, and hopefully, we should raise some amount during the current quarter.
So 81 you are planning to raise in the current quarter, and after that you will come out with the equity raise, right?
Equity raise, we have taken the enabling approval from the board, but it depends on the developments, what is the kind of restructuring, slippages, and final numbers. So if it is sufficient to meet the expected growth numbers and the provision with the capital that we have, we may not also be going for the market during the current year.
Okay. So where do we expect our capital ratios to be by the end of the year? Like any target is there?
Actually, as per the approval what we have taken from the board, we would like to have 1% over the regulatory minimum. So that is the idea. Because now see, if you look at CET1, which is a more critical ratio, as at this point of time it is 7.375. So we would like to have 8.37, but then these up to September, March it can be 8%. So what we projected is a CET1 of 9%. So that's how we have estimated. So but at the same time we are also working out that can we manage without raising equity capital. So we have made an enabling provision so that if required we can go to the government or any other sources. But then we are also seeing actually it depends on how it evolves. Basically the delinquency ratios, what we are estimating, the restructuring number, because the restructuring will entail about 10% provisions. So all these estimates, so if it goes per our estimates, then I think maybe we will be able to manage. But in that case, actually we will not have cushion. So we may be just hitting 8.2 kind of CET1 ratios, and once we end the year with that number, maybe we'll go for equity raising next year. So it is very, very fluid at this point of time. We kept the enabling provision. Definitely we will avoid capital raising if it can be avoided at these prices.
Okay. Yeah, that's it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from Jayant Kharote from Credit Suisse. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. There's just a slight increase in your net worth QOQ, the reported balance sheet in the first quarter by 1,000 crore. What would that be, sir?
I think there is credit to around 1,310 crores, and that is on account of the amalgamation. So the net of the assets of the amalgamating bank and the shares issued, that difference has been counted as the CET, 1,310 crores.
This is the one which RBI approval is pending for.
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. And sir, on the capital piece, just a little bit more. How do we see, because on one side, we're expecting around 3.5-4% delinquencies, and this should play out by the starting of the fourth quarter. So at 6,000 crore, it's around 100 bits. And how do we see this play out? Is this in Q3, Q4 that you would have to raise capital, or this can be stretched up to say first or second quarter of next year?
Very difficult actually to predict at this point of time. It will depend on delinquency and the restructuring. Maybe we'll get 81 anyway. We have space and we would like to raise. Maybe we'll get more clarity around September, October, because September itself we will get a good clarity on the restructuring book, and by October we will be very sure of what will be the restructuring book. So then actually based on that the delinquency numbers also will come out. So then we'll have a better clarity, and based on that we will work out. So anyway, we have a support from the government in case worst situation. But we will see. Actually, that's why I said it is very delicate to predict numbers at this point of time. Maybe when I come with the next quarter results by October end, I think we'll be able to give you more correct picture of the things.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from Jay Mundra from B&K Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Good evening and thanks for the opportunity. So I have a couple of questions. So first on retail restructuring, sir. Now that has been up to the individual bank. So when can we expect the policy, and what are your broad? When can we expect the bank level board policy for retail restructuring?
We got the approval today from the board for the personal loan part. So next week maybe we will put our guidelines.
Next week, okay, great, sir. Yeah. And sir, how do you look at this number, which is some 49,000 crores, which is overdue? Right? You must. So what is your thought process on this? A large part of it may not qualify for restructuring because that may be over 30 days past due. So, how do you look at this number, sir, 49,000 crores?
See, actually, we have lived with this number for last 2-3 years. Actually, this number doesn't indicate anything about the actual default. Because people keeping 30 to 60 days, 60 to 90 days default and paying is a very regular phenomena for us. So, actually, it doesn't result in slippages. So, that is one of the habits or the behavior patterns of the customer. So looking at that number, drawing a conclusion will be very difficult. That's why I said that September and October will give us more clarity. And actually, I'll tell you, to give a color of the things, the SMA-2 book, where we had to make 5% provision in March and another 5% in June, we saw recovery, closure and upgradation of about 1,500 crores from that book also. It is about 6,800 crores what was there in March, and then it came down by almost 1,500 crores when it came to June 30th, and it has come down further. So even that account, which was given a classification benefit, there also recoveries happen. So actually these accounts are still live and the recovery efforts are on. So trying to draw some conclusion from 49,000 crores or from the moratorium book to how much will slip will be a bit difficult.
Sure, sir. But sir, a large portion of restructuring would be out of this pool only. Would that be a reasonable assumption?
No. Because actually, see, the eligible accounts are only 30 days default as of 1st March.
Correct.
So that is only SMA 0. Okay, SMA 1 will not be eligible for this restructuring. So that is one part. And some of the standard accounts also may get into restructuring.
Understood.
Yeah.
Sure. And last two data keeping questions, sir. What is the moratorium number in rupees crore? Because what you have given is a percentage of term loan. It would be better if you can give in rupees crore. And how are we calculating moratorium? Is it people who have not paid the last month's installment, which is July, or this is something else?
I think the logic followed is, I think, more standardized in June, actually. So I think we have taken term loan installments who have paid less than 2 installments under moratorium.
Okay. And what is the number, sir?
For June, 4 installments were due.
Correct.
So it is like that we have calculated.
And sir, what is the number in rupees crore?
I think number we have not shared. I think because then it will need a disclosure. Na?
Okay. But so in other words, so what is the term loan component of the bank? 60, 65 or?
Ultimately, we'll come around that. So you can roughly say that about 50% can be term loans.
Yeah. Okay. Great, sir. Okay, sir. I'll come back in the queue. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from Sushil Choksey from Indus Equity. Please go ahead.
Sir, congratulations, best wishes, sir. First, can you give us an outlook on the current financial year in our CASA, NIM, credit growth, CD ratio, and digital spend?
Actually, we desisted from giving projections because of the unpredictability, But then
I'm just asking on basic NIM and
NIM will be like, I think 2.5 to 2.6 is the range. Actually, I don't think it will improve beyond that because there is a lot of pressure because of the MCLR cuts and other things, EBLR. So 2.5 to 2.6 will be the range. Credit growth by the end of the year can be something around 6%.
Okay. And this will be more domestic or combined international?
Yeah, it is combined actually, like combined book. And CASA right now, it went down a bit, around 33.3, but then it will be around 35 to 36% by the end of the year.
And where do you see cost of deposit along with that?
Cost of deposit will go down slightly because it's around 5, I think now, around 5.03. So it may go below 5 now by the end of the year.
Your treasury book has grown well in the quarter because of the deposit which you've grown in CASA and otherwise. Yeah. What's the outlook for the year?
Yeah, treasury, I know today actually I think we had a big disruption.
That's I think, a one-day disruption.
hopefully. So I hope RBI comes with some OMOs. But otherwise, the treasury book we are doing well. I think this quarter also we are able to do a decent churning. So anyway, I can't share the numbers, but then it is a very decent numbers in the first 1.5 months. So we
what is HTM and AFS book, sir?
Yeah, AFS book.
That is, we have disclosed 105,000, I think.
It is there in the presentation.
Yes.
I'll have a look at it.
Yeah.
Second, I asked the question in last quarter result also. What is the outlook on digital spend and how are we shaping up? Because the connectivity of the combination between 3 banks, I think, and your penetration in South can have a greater advantage. That's what I visualize. So how are we mapping that and how are we capitalizing on that?
Yeah, actually, there are a lot of intertwining of numbers when it comes to spend. Because one side, yes, we are buying a lot of hardware. We are also buying new software. There are a lot of issues going on, and but then because then there are savings also. Because see, broadly, we have put a number of 3,600 crores as a synergy benefit for 3 years. It involves IT spend and savings from IT. It involves some rationalization of branches. It also involves some one-time benefits which are occurring. So I think we are not given a split actually. Maybe when we sit one-to-one, we will try to give you a color on that. Because for me also, because there are multiple spendings happening, and then there are multiple savings happening because we are in a technology integration phase now. See, now the data centers at some places will be surrendering. There will not be necessity of having 3 data centers and 3 backup centers. So all that will conserve a lot of money. But at the same time, there will be some additional spending. So putting it quarter-wise will be very difficult for me. Maybe one-to-one we will come with more clarity.
Okay. Second thing, sir, knowing Union Bank investor base, I see 89% is government and 11% is public. Knowing the market conditions, you would not like to dilute much below book value or adjusted book value. Why don't we look at rights issue for non-government holders? This is my request to consider. That would reward only existing shareholders, and you would also shore up the capital, so you won't have dilution.
Yeah.
At the same time, that would bring down the government holding, which every investor, including government, would like, that you've raised from the market and it becomes healthy data for you.
Yeah. I think if the government permits, we would love to do that. At least reward the customer who is stuck to us due to the difficult times.
I'm sure government will reward. Why won't they reward?
We will definitely examine that suggestion. Thank you for the suggestion.
I'll come back in the queue.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from Abhijit S. from Kotak Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Sir, just to go back to your outlook on slippages of about 3.5% for the year, that seems like a pretty high number. If you calculate, comes close to 20,000 crores. Because we are also saying that another 6%, which is up for restructuring, is another 35,000 crores. We're just trying to understand, what will comprise of the slippage outlook that we're talking about here.
See, actually, we are erring on the higher side, actually, because for us also, we don't think that it will go up to that, because for capital estimation, we are assuming that number, because that number is quite high. If I am restructuring a book of close to 6%, 7%, the delinquency should be around 2.5%, not more than that. But then, for estimation side, we are taking that. We will moderate that number as we come to September quarter, because that is quite high, because we also know, but then it is basically with the idea, because how many people will actually suffer because of COVID and who will not be able to do the restructuring and they will actually slip. So these numbers is very difficult to assess at this point of time. That's why we have kept a higher cushion, because basically this is done for capital assessment also.
Okay. So secondly, on the 6% restructuring number, what we are sort of indicating is that retail will not be a big contributor, and so is the large ticket corporate loans. So probably MSME will be the biggest contributor here.
MSME and medium industries, they will be beyond MSME, but then they are the medium ones.
Okay. So MSME, when we look at the current level of NPAs and whatever we have restructured, it's already 20% kind of stressed ratios on that book. Another 6% of the book restructuring, part of that coming from MSME, possibly we are looking at this number going substantially upwards of current levels. So just trying to understand the potential stress on this book, and secondly, we also have this facility from the government in the form of the credit guarantee scheme. How are we doing on that? What sort of sanctions we have done? And given that we are still seeing slippages from this book, why are we not able to sort of utilize that scheme to kind of, benefit on this book?
See, if you look at MSME restructuring, this is available for last 1.5 years. So this is the same scheme which is continuing actually. So if you look at the restructured book in MSME, despite the scheme being made available, I think the total restructured book in MSME may be around 3,000-4,000 crores, not more than that. So when the scheme was available and it was very liberal scheme, still we did not the eligible cases which are found viable is only that number. So putting that number again now, so I don't think there will be a big restructuring book in the MSME. So, but then and the slippages have been quite high. You are right actually, because it is beyond 15% NPA levels in MSME. So because restructuring is not helping, because if the MSME is totally not viable, then there is not worth restructuring. So we'll see actually. That's why between restructuring and slippage, there will be certain number adjustments which will happen by the month of September, October. That we'll be able to give you a better color. So it will be a choice between restructuring or account NPA. So that kind of things will happen in MSME. We'll see. Because now there is a stressed asset fund also which is coming from the government, which is a kind of equity funding which is coming for MSME, which is also announced. In addition to this 20% what we are giving. So we foresee that the slippage of MSME should come down and we will see more restructuring happening in MSME. That is my call. But then that will be known only in September, October. So medium size, yes, we will see that restructuring coming more from that book. Maybe 40% of the restructured book what we are projecting should come from this sector.
Okay. And sir, one clarification, what kind of aging provisions do we need on the current stock of NPS as we foresee?
I think last time I made that statement, 1.5 to 1.6% is the credit cost for aging provision for the full year.
Okay. And lastly, the depreciation on investment, 200 crores. What's driving that?
That is because of the shifting from STM to which we do in the first quarter, na?
Okay.
We shift the securities and there will be some hit we take.
Okay.
But then actually, they will be always sitting on some profits also. Then we shift.
Understood. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from Rajiv Mundra from Mundra Investments. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hello, sir. Congratulations on a great quarter. And I just wanted to know that as far as rationalization of operations and other activities between the three banks are concerned, by when do you think the bank will be able to utilize the full benefits of the amalgamation?
Actually, the amalgamation that way is complete. We are able to roll out all our physical infrastructure, like the new regional offices, zonal offices, mapping of the branches, and then our centralized process centers for retail, MSME, agriculture, large corporate branches, mid-corporate branches. They are all rolled out, actually. So that way physical infrastructure is ready, and as we are working as an amalgamated entity and all that. Now the next part is the heart of this is the technology. The technology integration, according to us, Corporation Bank should be onboarded by October end and Andhra Bank by January end. So we are working towards that. So that already in September itself, some of the branches of Corporation for a test run can be onboarded. We are working on that. But by October end, we will complete Corporation. And by January, Andhra. And then actually, all the 9,500 branches will have real synergies because everybody will be on a common platform.
Right, sir. Thank you. And my last question is, so if you look at it from an investor perspective, I think it's been challenging not only due to COVID, but generally it's been a challenging last 5 years. So while we are not looking at any predictions as such, do you think that the worst is behind us?
I can say things are not as bad as we think. The future is much better because when I look at my numbers also, you yourself have the numbers in front of you because actually look at our valuation and the numbers what we have. I think it doesn't correlate because we are much better than people thought. Actually, despite other income going down, look at our net interest income and the OP what we have. And the operating profit actually could have been higher by another 400-500 crores, but for certain adjustments which happened, which is specific to this quarter. So that way, like we have sufficient capability to absorb the numbers what I am talking about. Like a delinquency of 3.5 and a related provision, a 6%, 5 to 6% restructuring and related provision, and the aging provision. So we should have sufficient operating profit to absorb this kind of things. So that is the rough estimate we have. And that is good enough actually, I think, in the given circumstances. So
right.
It can be better than that. It may not be worse than that.
Oh, okay. So, thank you very much for your feedback, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll take that as the last question. I would now like to hand the conference back to the management team for closing comments.
Thank you. Actually, I think very good questions. I would have loved to give more clarity on some issues, but then we ourselves are not very clear on certain numbers. But then my request to all analysts, now as an amalgamated entity, I think the numbers are before you. So now I think it is a time to reassess Union Bank. Actually, all uncertainty around amalgamation is complete. All harmonization related provisions we have absorbed maximum in March. Some leftovers we absorbed in this quarter. With that, it is complete. So now I think as we go on, more synergy benefits will accrue. Now we had a double hit actually. One was the COVID disruption, another is the amalgamation. But if you look at that, with both the major disruptions, the performance of the bank has been quite good in the first quarter. It will improve in second quarter, and as we go along, I think this will emerge as a very strong bank, and I think the time to reassess Union Bank has come. My request to all the analysts, please look at our number more keenly. We are always open for further discussions if you want. On restructuring, I would like to give more color as we complete September quarter. Definitely will come with more clarity. And I always love to be very open and sharing the data with you to the extent possible. But then now a lot of uncertainty. I'm sorry, certain numbers I'm not able to give a very strong prediction. But then as we come for second quarter, we'll be more clear on this number. Thank you, and thank you very much for all the support.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
On behalf of Union Bank of India,